Hub family, welcome to another special edition of the Hub, all things for us with your boy Demond Reynolds. Listen, I have a very important question as we open up this episode. What if one painting could tell the story of how an entire world changed? What if one painting could tell the story of how an entire world changed? Well, family, this is the question that I've been trying to answer since I visited the Royal Alcazar Museum in Seville, Spain. And inside this museum, I came across an exhibit called the Chapter House, which now modern day is a chapel, but it had this very important painting on the wall called the Madonna of Seafarers. Now check this out. This painting was painted in the 1530s by an artist, and I hope I pronounced this right, by the name of Alejo Fernandez. And again, it's called the Madonna of Seafarers. Now this painting would have captured some very important details from the opening voyages across the Americas. And if you look closely, you'll see people like Saint Sebastian, if you're a history buff, Saint James at the left side, Saint Telmo, and Saint John. Now the painting in the description also says that Christopher Columbus is painted inside this painting. Now, why do I mention Christopher Columbus? I want you to look closer under the Madonna's cape. If you look closer, the central scene will show a group of what the painting says is indigenous people or Native Americans under her cloak. Let me say that again. You'll see a group of Native Americans under her cloak. Now, why is this painting important? For Spain, this would have been where they would have organized its voyages to America. Now, for Spain, it also represented exploration and the spread of Christianity. But those same Atlantic routes would also reshape the lives of indigenous peoples, and soon after, millions of Africans through slavery and empire. For people of African descent, this reminds us that our story didn't begin on plantations. It actually began with ideas, systems, and decisions taking shape in places like this. And so, family, I saw this painting and I couldn't help but get caught in my tracks. I paused and I reflected and I said to myself, how does this connect at a time in America when we're coming up on the 250th anniversary of when America and its structure would have come into existence? How does this come across at a time when the government is looking to erase history? And so, family, I believe so that the African proverb says, until the lion tells the story, the hunter will always be the hero. And so, family, with that, this will be probably the shortest episode I've done, but I wanted to share with you this painting and some important takeaways that I wrote down while I looked at this painting. So I'm going to just read you some things and I'm going to ask some questions. I don't have the answers, but I hope these questions probe me. Number one, I want to say that a painting like this, that this specific painting shows us that history shapes the present. This painting represents the beginning of a world connected by exploration, trade, and empire. Today, many of our identities are connected to these events. Let me prove it to you. Why are there Afro-Latinos? Why is Spanish spoken across much of the Americas? Why do African and indigenous histories intersect? Why are conversations about race, migration, and identity still so significant and prevalent today? Which leads into my next point. Whose story is being told? One more time. Whose story is being told? The painting represents Spain's understanding of its mission. But for those on the other side of that mission, as the African proverb says, until the lion tells a story, the hunter will always be the hero. What did those folks under that cape think? You know, I asked the tour guide a question while I was looking at this painting. I said, when I looked close, I actually saw people of African descent. Now, there are plenty of books and theories and maybe even facts about our existence in America pre these voyages. Now, family, I also claim to you that I don't know everything on this platform. So hear me as I talk to you. I don't know everything, but there are plenty of different facts and approaches to this conversation. But when I looked under that cloak, I saw people of African descent. I looked at some of the features, I looked at the face, and I couldn't help but think that was us there. But either way, we have a shared story. That picture shows enslavement and empire. What would those folks think? Whose perspective is being represented? Whose voice is missing? And really the bigger question of all, especially at a time like this when America's 250 is coming, how do we begin to tell a fuller story, a more complete story? Which leads into, I think, the biggest question that I think many of us wrestle with out of all these: the church in power. How do we faithfully share the gospel without confusing God's kingdom with political or cultural power? The Madonna of the Seafarers and the Cape represented something far more than just what you see on the surface. It was the beginning of the shaping of an empire that would have started through religion, would have started through Christianity, would have started through another group's belief that they held the stronger position in a story in which they will be the victors and there will be some losers. And we know how this history begins to take shape, not only in places like Spain, but in Portugal. Later on, and then you have Europe come into play. And what happens is enslavement. I challenge us to think, because this still exists today. How do we confront this history and tell the complete story? In America, as we come across the 250th anniversary of the structure of America's existence, how do we tell a more complete story? I would argue that we can't do it without sharing facts like these, without examining ourselves and without examining properly our history. Read for ourselves, look for ourselves, and discover for ourselves. So family, I'll leave you with this once again. Until the lion tells the story, the hunter will always be the hero. Whose story are you listening to? Who's written your story that has shaped much of your life today? This is a question I'm pondering as we begin to enter into that 250th anniversary, which happens on July 4th, which they call Independence Day. Thank you, Hub family, for joining me. See y'all soon.